Laura,
Yeah.
I understand that you're kicking us off with some show and tell.
I'm not. It's not often that I come to the show and I go, Steph, I know you love you jump into a ramble at the start, but I've got a thing, and I want to bring a thing to show and tell today.
I'm very excited about this.
Okay, I have 4 words for you. Solar-powered cult sunflower.
Right, I'm in.
Right?
Sign me up.
I'm going to be deliberately a little vague about the specifics here, given the slightly related to occult nature of what's going on here. But the short version, it seems there is a cult leader here in the UK who, legally, I don't know if it's a cult, a religious splinter group with a highly charismatic leader. That's maybe how we'll put it.
It's not J.K. Rowling and the TERFs, is it? Because that's what it's sounding like, especially with the worry about legal distinction.
No, this is more someone who. What if Christianity was like, and also starring me? I'm also a main character in that. Seems to be the gist. And whoever this particular person who is trying to convince people to join their particular religious group also owns a chain of vegan restaurants. So I know someone who was recently asked as they were leaving a restaurant that they did not know was run by a religious figure. Before you leave, do you pray?
No, it's a vegan restaurant. I don't pray on anything.
The answer to which was, no, I very much do not pray. Okay, wait here 1 moment, we'll be right back.
Oh, wow.
And they hand over a box, which upon leaving the restaurant they discover is a plastic sunflower, then, like, the top of it's a solar panel. I'm gonna just turn on the sunflower for you for a minute, because this has fascinated me in the recent days.
The most powerful daily prayer for any time and before meditation, which is the order from God and Supreme Master Ching Hai shares with us by his blessed grace.
Oh.
Always humbly worship, praise, thanks.
It goes on for about an hour of
An
just
hour? An
It
hour?
goes on. Yeah, there's a fucking hour-long prayer where Master. What's the bloody name? I gotta find it again here. 1 second. Master Ching Hai will praise for an hour and will frequently be like, I don't know how to better explain it than this prayer brought to you by God in collaboration with me, Master Ching Hai.
Oh, wow.
And Loving Hut.
Yeah, it's an awful lot of the Bible brought in collaboration from me. I also was part of bringing you God.
So he...
Oh, that's a very Falun Gong type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems less like a sort of worship thing and more like a brand crossover is what he's trying to initiate. God High 2025.
Yeah, God is here and brings good messages, but also, I'm here. Don't forget that your religious experience also comes from me. I am a brand associated with your prayers.
What's the revenue split?
Well, typically a tithe is 10%, I think.
True.
Like, the thing I can't get over is that my friend was explicitly asked, do you pray? Said no, and was still given the prayer sunflower.
Well, I guess that the idea there is if they don't pray, the flower's going to pray for them, and then hopefully they'll listen and be like, this Ching Hai, right? The flower knows what's up. I think I'm going to take the flower's advice.
It's been a while since I've stumbled into a religious, trick question. Do you pray? No. Well, then you need the sunflower.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we'll power up your prayers with the sunflower. All answers lead to the sunflower, I think.
Because that was going to be my question. Because it sounded initially like it was a bit unfair that if you already pray, you don't get a free gift.
I'm pretty certain you get the free gift left, right, or centre.
That would be good, because even though I am an infidel myself, I would feel bad for my religiously inclined friends if they didn't get a plastic sunflower that talks for an hour. I thought those ones with the plastic sunglasses that danced were a religious revelation.
The other bit that amuses me is my friend was really worried. Like, they brought this to my birthday and were like, I don't know what to do with this. And I was like, fuck it. If you don't want it, I will take it. This is gold. I want to own this weird bit of cult paraphernalia.
Oh no, I want one now.
Right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But they were worried. They were like, "Oh, what if the person who gave it to me remembers giving it to me?" And I believe the words I said were, "I mean this in the politest way I can say this to a friend. You are not that special and unique that you're the only one who got one of these." I hate to burst that bubble.
If you were, you should really be running a cult of your own.
Yeah. Either that, or you have way bigger problems than someone thinking you gave away a gift. I want to go and get one and ask if I can have the receipt with it. Not for any reason, just in case.
I, as someone that grew up religious, am no stranger to religious institutions giving away paraphernalia to do with, trying to promote the religion. I may have done some of that as a youth. I have my opinions as an adult about it, but I'm curious where the market is for, like, the best way to sell our religion is a big plastic sunflower that reads you prayers.
What I want to know, because these things are never made in-house, generally.
Yeah.
Normally, like for instance, Ponkel, they've given me a lot of garlic-shaped stress balls.
Yeah.
And they have to give them away because they have... Luca told me this the last time I was...
Oh, I know where this is going.
Yeah, when I last saw him, he told me they have bought out the UK's entire supply of garlic stress balls. You can't get them anywhere else but through Ponkel. They're the garlic dealer for the nation, and obviously, they get a company to put the company logo on it. So what I want to know is, where is the company that's doing this? Because we need to get in on the sunflower tip. We need to get in on the solar-powered sunflower demagogue craze.
So, I have one last thing that I think you need to know about this sunflower I've been saving for last. So, there are buttons on it to, like, turn it on, turn it off, press play, change the volume even. Like, it's a reasonably, like, sophisticated device. More than once it has turned itself on.
Oh my god, yes.
No.
Haunted.
I'm occasionally having instances where just ominous prayers from a charismatic religious leader start happening. And that's way better than if it reliably would turn off. I need to be jump scared by prayer every now and then.
A jump prayer.
Yes.
I love this. I genuinely love this. I love that it's solar powered. Because, that's them thinking, mate, a couple of AAAs ain't going to do it. This is going to run and run. People are going to listen to this on fucking repeat.
I mean, for me, the thought is they're running a chain of vegan restaurants. I feel like you have to, at the very least, outwardly appear to be doing something good for the planet.
Yeah.
But you are producing, I'm gonna guess, thousands of plastic sunflowers that will end up in a landfill. So I don't know how good of a job for the environment you're doing.
They're not going to end up in a landfill, let's be honest. If they ever decide to get rid of them, I will buy the lot. I'm not even joking. I don't think it would be anywhere near what I could get away with budgeting for them. I would buy the lot. I want the company that makes them as well, because the amount of things I could make a sunflower say about Jonathan Holmes, or anything, really.
I am deeply curious if I can take this thing apart and if it would be easy to record a new message on it.
Oh...
Look, I don't want to risk losing the prayers, but I do think I could make some pretty haunting things come out of a sunflower.
You just got to be careful with anything that's powered by God's battery, because it could get very annoyed if you supplant the message. Do you get it?
I do, because plants, yeah.
Here's the thing. When I started that sentence, that wasn't where it was going. I did that on the fly. I rerouted into a pun.
Ooh.
That is how good I am. That is why they pay me the big bucks. Can you believe this podcast is free?
That is why they pay you the big bucks here on Podquisition, the show that we're here doing.
On the Podquisition, big buckaroo Banzai. Did you ever watch Banzai?
Buckaroo Banzai?
I did, yeah.
Not Buckaroo Banzai, which I haven't seen, but I've seen Banzai, which was was it a Japanese show, or was it a UK show emulating a Japanese show?
I believe it is a British show spoofing Japanese shows.
Yeah, it's a Channel 4 show. I remember watching it. I can't actually remember anything about it. I think there was a man that shook a lot of hands, and maybe you had to guess, because you pressed a button on your remote control to guess what would happen. And there was Shaky Hands Man, I think, and it was how long can he shake this celebrity's hand for?
Mr. Shake's Hand Man, yeah. Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking this up.
Yeah.
Mr. Shake's Hands Man 2, how long can you shake Bill Murray's hand for?
I love that.
No, that's a good subject. That's just like a really good person to do that with. Yeah.
You know what? We can play this live. Let me get the multiple choice answers up for you, so that we can play this along. How many seconds do you think that they were able to hold Bill Murray's hand for? The options are A, 0 to 30 seconds, B, 31 to 60, C, 61 to 90, or D, 91 to 120 seconds.
90 to 120 seconds.
I'm going to go 61 to 90. It's definitely in the top, like the upper echelon.
The higher end of the range, sure, yeah.
Yeah, for the sake of variance, I'll go... I reckon Bill Murray might snake out of it before the final furlong, but let's see.
Can I tell you, you are both really close. It is within 1.6 seconds of that barrier.
Oh, that's tight.
It's real on the barrier. It's 89.4 seconds.
Oh, so close.
You were so close, Conrad. It was 1.6 seconds off and you'd have had it.
I mean,
wow.
Oh.
Yeah, I have confirmed it was indeed a British spoof, yeah.
Just think about how long 90 seconds actually
yes.
is.
I'm watching that 90 seconds right now, and it's great.
That's the thing about seconds as a measurement of time, is because they're so associated with brevity, you really don't realise how much you can do in a few seconds. Mm-hmm. It's something I've sort of always thought when I do like audio recording and editing, and realising just how much information one can cram into 30 seconds. But it is a long fucking time when you're then editing that.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that is more than 10 seconds is a long fucking time, depending on what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, who's played video games this week?
I have played a game.
What about you, Steph? You played one? Maybe more?
Two. We'll go with 2.
I played one I can talk about in any depth. So do you want to start, Steph, as you've kind of played 2?
Yeah, so I played 2 games. One is Borderlands 4, but I'll talk about that second, because it's not as interesting as the first one. Bloober Team brought out a new horror game.
Yeah, Cronos the New Dawn?
Cronos the New Dawn, and I have been playing it since it came out. I'd hoped to have a review up before now, but it's a longer game than I thought it would be. So everyone knows what I think of Bloober. I've been very harsh about them. I think their horror work is hacky at best, and their explorations of trauma are downright offensive and reckless. And I am completely delighted to say that this game is unequivocally great. Cronos is great.
I'm having a good time with it. I forgot to put it on the list. I have been playing it. The Switch 2 port is surprisingly good. It's been nice to be able to play that on a second screen. It's a pretty good port. But yeah, so far, look, I've not finished it, so I'm bracing for the end, because like the medium proved that Bloober can really drop the ball at the last minute in a way that really, fucks up an experience for me. Right now I'm going, did they actually learn some lessons from working on Silent Hill 2? And maybe they're doing better?
I'm not at the very end. I've seen enough. You see, even the medium, I think, dropped the ball earlier. They massively fucked it at the end.
Well, yeah.
But...
To be fair, there was also the kind of paedophile apology and stuff in the middle. It's not that, the medium didn't drop the ball till the end. It's that the medium demonstrated a Bloober Team game might have a big drop of the ball in literally the last seconds.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's something to worry about. But with this one...
I'm getting less worried the longer I play.
Uh-huh. And honestly, I'm now at... Because when I first started it, I just saw a cheap Dead Space knockoff.
Yeah.
With a really slow burn that would have been fine if the protagonist wasn't so robotic and gave me nothing to relate to. But once it kicked off, I was on the hook. And the further and further in it's gotten, the more and more I've appreciated it. And I reached a point in the story where I was like, I don't know who was finally allowed near a typewriter at Bloober, but someone's on their fucking A-game. And it ain't just the writing, it's the gameplay. Because Silent Hill 2, I said, it was probably their best work, but it was still...
It needed fewer fucking mannequins.
Loaded with some of the worst horror tropes, awful jump scares, absolutely no dignity, even, with the way it kept spamming the mannequin jump scares. I will say, when it comes to anything like that with this game, when it comes to jump scares, when it comes to enemies like ambushing you, anything like that, there is an impressive amount of restraint here for any developer, let alone Bloober. I truly, I don't know what's happened, because Silent Hill 2 wasn't that long ago, and that was so vulgar in its use of horror tropes compared to this one. They fucking nailed it.
It's weird, because when I started playing this, it felt initially a little by-the-numbers tropey, a little like you threw some proper nouns at a wall and okay, what are we going for here? And I don't know when it happened, but that plot really started to click in interesting ways, and I was like, what initially felt a little like it was just going to be, it's post-apocalypse, it's scary, has quite an interesting core concept behind it.
Yeah. And it only gets better so far. Again, I think I'm in the last stretch. But there was this moment. There's not a lot of dialogue. The traveller, the main character, will talk to herself and record audio logs. And there are plenty of audio logs. But there aren't many NPCs. But there is one in particular who's really interesting. And... I think it's the second time you meet him and talk to him, it's such a great, it was a scene that made me put the controller down and listen, because I was so intrigued as to where they were going with it. And it brought about some themes that Bloober's not really, dove into. And they're not fucking trauma-y shit. It's like, they start... looking at the difference between surviving and living and what that means and what should be saved if one has to choose what should live on. And it's really good stuff presented by character interactions that are just great to watch.
It asks some pretty interesting sort of sci-fi questions about identity, and I kind of braced when it seemed... we're doing stuff with identities perhaps outside of the bodies they originally were in. I was cautious, but where they've taken that's been pretty interesting. Yeah. I like just the core idea of being tasked with a job of go into the past and rescue people before they die in the event is kind of cool.
Also, I'm surprised at how well they handled the event, because that was the bit that made me roll my eyes at first. I'm like, wow, they've mined emotional trauma as much as they can. It seems almost inevitable that they'd dive into COVID exploitation next. Because this is very much a quarantine thing. One of those post-COVID quarantine horrors at first. But the little glimpses they give into that sort of stuff is pretty well done. And it hits a bit close to home, but not in a way that feels as gross as some of their other stuff. And then it never abandons that, but it discusses other stuff. Like there's a real sort of, because it's set in Poland, there's a lot of like socialist rhetoric that comes into it. And that I'm also curious as to whether that's sort of going anywhere. And then the moments that are given over just to the horror side of it. Every element of this game is derivative. Dead Space, Resident Evil, The Thing, it's all derivative, but it's come together really fucking nicely. Again, that restraint. They are playing with my mind in a way few developers can, and I would never have assumed Blue were capable of. Because they have done the perfect... They've struck the absolute perfect balance between which corpses on the floor get up and which ones don't. And just when you think... And they give you something later on that can help you tell. And then they come up with a new way for the monsters to get you that bypass that. So the thing they gave you is useful, but it only makes you more paranoid because you're like, right, they've given me an easy way of telling. That is a trick and I know it. And then the thing they start doing next, the same thing as the corpses. It's so sparing.
And the thing is, something like that could very easily not work. The idea of we've given you a detection tool and then worked around it. I would argue that is a problem that Silent Hill 2 had with some of its accessibility settings for detecting the location of creatures not being set off by certain creatures. This is a problem that has existed in Bloober Team's most recent work, and yet here they make a very similar idea work well.
Absolutely. And that's, I think, part of it is that balance I spoke about. Where they have just the right amount of scares. Very few jump scares, by the way. Many of the scares are just the result of building creeping dread. And when there is a jump scare, it's earned. And this, again, stuff I never thought I'd say about this studio. They earn every single jump scare and ambush they inflict on you. And yeah, it could be wrong. It could have gone wrong, the circumvention. But it never felt unfair. Because they introduced what they were going to do. And that's the thing. Whenever this game shows its hand, it's not to give you an advantage. It's to make you fear when they pull that trick again. The combat, I'm actually not all that into. It's fine. It's kind of Dead Space combat without the fun limb-shredding gimmick. I don't think this is a game like Soma where the game would be better without the combat. You need a legitimate threat to life. But I would say the dread of that combat is so fucking effective. When the combat happens, it's like, okay, fighting is happening. But the moments between, when I'm like creeping around every corner, like it's a level of paranoia that I can't remember the last time I played a game that had that. And it's the effect they were going for in Silent Hill 2, but as I said then, it was never paranoia then, because they were always out to get you. You were always right when you're like, there's going to be a mannequin behind that corner. This time, I'm very rarely right. And then it gets me when I'm wrong. And it's fucking great. Yeah, I'm so impressed. This isn't up there with the very best horror games ever. but it is a great game. And for the studio that made it, it is far and away their best work. Far and away, in every single regard. I'm quite the fan of this game. There's so much about it that impresses me. The resource management as well. They do the old school survival horror resource management. I usually hate that. It has to be done very well. It has to be done for a good reason. The incredibly limited inventory space in Signalis pissed me off. I felt it got in the way of the game, didn't make it hard, didn't make it scary. This one, it's all about that balance again. They have given you enough Resi-style storage crates, spaced out enough that you've always got to think about maximizing the efficiency of your inventory, but you never feel like... Well, not never. Sometimes there is a bit of back and forthing that gets a bit tedious, but far less than a lot of games that try this. And not only that, narratively they earn it as well because it all ties thematically into what they're doing. There is an attitude this game instills in its story about making the most of what you've got, not wasting stuff. And that puts you in the right frame of mind. It actually made me more invested in the idea of not wasting resources than any other game, simply because it front-loaded its narrative with rhetoric like that, which is a really nice bit of manipulation of the player. I don't know who was let off the leash with this one, but it seems like someone was allowed to have a go that hadn't been listened to before. I doubt that's the case, but whatever was inspiring them on this one, I hope it lasts, because my fucking god, now I see what everyone was seeing in this fucking studio. This is the potential that I never thought was there.
I very much want to make time to get back to this. I had to put it down because I've got a couple of work things that have been going on this week, but everything I've seen of it so far has been really positive, and I didn't expect to feel that way when I picked it up. So yeah. What about you, Conrad? What have you been playing this week?
I have been playing a kind of cozy game called Little Witch in the Woods. This has been in early access for years, and I guess just launched. It had been one of those things someone pointed me to, and sat on my wish list for God knows how long, and finally released. And you are a little witch who is on a train
in the woods. I'm guessing
you're on a train on the way to like the high city for the witching world or whatever, to start an apprenticeship. And the train stops in these woods, has a little problem with the tracks, and you go wandering off to explore, and then the train leaves without you, and you're stuck there. And you discover that there is a village that has been overrun with thorny vines. It's destroyed all of the houses, except for a few people. And you pledge to restore the town to its former glory. It is a very Stardew Valley-like experience. Lots of the same mechanics, but everything's a little bit deeper because you're not cultivating. It wastes no effort on the cultivating and just makes everything gathering in terms of resources, which is good and bad. But you have recipes with which you make potions and candies from various resources that you find in the environment. And you have an encyclopedia that you can fill with information about them. And it's pretty cool because you'll do little sketches of creatures and plants that you encounter in the environment. And you'll get the opportunity to do this like 2 or 3 times, though it prevents you from A, drawing the same one twice, and B, you have to have a bit of a time span between them. But they give you like little clues as to ways that you can interact with these creatures to get resources from them in different ways, to maximize it. sometimes, or in most cases, there is one of the potions that you can develop can be used to get more resources from one of the creatures if you know which potion to use. And potions are interesting because they have a wide variety of effects just in the environments, it seems like. And you can just throw them from your inventory. And that's a neat little thing. You can throw like a weed killer type thing at a certain type of plant that is acting as a barrier to get through to other areas. You get that one relatively early on. But then you'll get other potions that make things grow that you'll need to raise these beanstalks temporarily to get access to new areas. And all of that's pretty neat. And then the characters in the town all have the sort of dialogue system where you grow your relationship over time through conversations, and you can give them gifts, and they do all of that. But lots of them have little side quests and things that pop up. Excuse me. It does have the time limit thing, and there's like a day-night period, and different creatures will be out during the day than during the night, or certain plants will react differently. Some things you can only do in different time periods. I'm still super early in this, but there's a lot to do, and it keeps unfurling, and even the quantity of stuff that is presented to me from the beginning of the game in terms of, like, you can make all of these types of candy or all of these types of potions at some point, it still suggests to me that there might be even more, and there's a healthy quantity at the outset that I can tell. So that's interesting. You do have to maintain your tools, which is a mixed bag. You do get a broom relatively early on that gives you faster mobility around places. And you also quickly find teleporters that are like, they're two-way teleporters that take you back to your home base, but only go to the most recent place that you traveled from. But those also have to be maintained using some of the basic resources. And so there does become a bit where I feel like I am spending a little more time like getting stuff and fixing shit and using more of my stamina resources to engage in that than I am necessarily in advancing my goals. But I think that's going to balance out as it goes on. But it's cute. The sprites and animations are neat. All the little critters are adorable. You can pet most of the ones that you can approach. There are these little, like, they remind me of like slimes, but like furry slimes that you see in some of these games. They're just like little puffballs that bounce around. It was a Secret of Mana, I think, is the first example I can think of to have something like this. And you can just pick them up and squeeze their little cheeks to get a resource from them, and that's adorable. There's a lizard guy that wanders around, and you can pet them and they'll go to sleep. But if you pet them when they're on their backs and their bellies are up, you rub their bellies, and then they produce a resource. So it's so much of the stuff is like contextual, and there's a lot of depth to that, which I find really interesting. And the encyclopedia becomes this sort of invaluable text for coming up with ways to interact, and further interactions and experimenting with some of these things gain experience in that encyclopedia that then increase the rate at which you're getting resources. And so that's nice. It does feel like it's going to accelerate in a healthy manner, which I do appreciate. The mobility, you feel like you're moving slow, and you do have a stamina bar for running that's separate from your stamina bar from doing actions. And it's kind of strict on the time. In a lot of these games, when you're indoors, time stops. That's not the case here. It really only stops during dialogue, or in menus. But it's really fun and light and silly. There's some translation challenges, I think, in it. Some of the and some just, it needed a proofreader, an English proofreader, I think. but it's sweet and it's relaxing, and I'm enjoying it a lot. This Little Witch in the Woods. It's cute.
That does sound cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. What have I been playing this week that I can talk about? I've not been playing a huge amount. I've been trying to get through some review stuff. I can mention I've been playing Ghost of Yotei, and we'll have a review of that going up next week, which is eating up a lot of my time. But I have been playing a thing that I've been enjoying but feel kind of weird about, which is the Donkey Kong Bananza DLC, DK Island plus Emerald Rush. So, I enjoyed Donkey Kong Bonanza quite a lot when it came out. It is a silly little collectathon platformer, but it's got like quite a good dramatic escalation in its last few levels. It ends on a very high note. I very much enjoyed just being a completionist about it and playing a bunch of it. But it's also one of those games that once I was done with that, I was like, I feel no real need to come back to this, despite very much enjoying the mechanics. So, this week, a paid DLC for the game was released that I have been enjoying, but I'm gonna put it out there right now. It does feel a bit weird, in that I can't quantify this, but it feels like Donkey Kong Bonanza didn't come out that long ago.
It didn't.
And, yeah, right, it's like, what, less than 2 months? Maybe 2 months? And this paid DLC, while good, feels like the kind of thing that I can't say for certain, but it feels like something that might have existed in the game and been cut out to sell later as DLC. It has that vibe. And I can't say why this DLC feels that way, but as I go on to talk about what I'm enjoying about it, just keep in mind in the back of your head the thought of it feels a little we cut it out and we put it back in. So, this is post-game DLC. It adds one new area to explore, but that's not really a DK island, a big island shaped like Donkey Kong's face. That's not really the reason to pick it up. It adds a randomized roguelike mode to Donkey Kong Bonanza, which, the amount of money they've charged for it, I'm having my money's worth of fun out of it. I won't deny that. It starts on this new level, but as you do well, you start unlocking other stages to do this on. And it's basically, we've replaced all of the fossils and crystal bananas and gold that were previously in stages with big shiny green emeralds. And you have a time limit, and you are trying to collect as much emeralds as you can to try and keep ahead of an escalating score that, like, when this timer runs out, you gotta have more than this much emerald. And the way that you do this is a couple of fold. The locations of bananas and fossils and emeralds are not randomized between runs. What is randomized is upgrades that you get when you collect fossils, which will be things like gain a bonus multiplier on the amount of emeralds that you receive when you collect them in a certain way. So a randomized upgrade might be emeralds gained by defeating enemies will be more plentiful, and that might change the sort of routing that you do. Banana chips that you pick up through the levels can be used to basically repurchase your skill tree from the base game. And then there are little missions that will periodically pop up, and if you go do one of these randomized missions that's thrown in, it will increase the multiplier that's just generally collecting emeralds will be X times more beneficial now. And it is a very fun mechanic that is getting me to go back to that game and go, yeah, I'm getting a good amount of... I wanted to continue enjoying these mechanics, but didn't really have anything to aim for. This is a good contextual layer to get me doing that. And I'm having fun with it, but I can't stop thinking this feels like this would have been the end game condition for this game. And as much as I am having my money's worth of fun out of this DLC, Donkey Kong Bonanza was not a cheap game that is getting a reasonably pricey DLC added onto it really not that long after it came out, that really feels kind of essential to give that game any kind of ongoing playability once you finished it. And I can't help feeling like I've been a little nickel and dimed by Nintendo on this one, despite the fact I'm having a lot of fun with this mode.
Yeah, Nintendo's just... It's only going to get worse. Like, they're just taking the piss more and more and more, and it is amazing how quickly they are incinerating their decades of goodwill.
I don't necessarily agree with you on all of the takes you've had on this. Like, we felt differently on that Kirby Star-Crossed DLC recently. I felt better about that one. But yeah, I think it's just the proximity to launch on this one that's making me go, I'm feeling what you've been feeling, Steph, on this one.
Yeah, just a shame, really.
Well, Steph, how's Borderlands 4?
I can't believe they wanted to charge $80 for this. I can't believe Randy Pitchford is running his mouth again, saying it's a premium game for premium users, and if their PC can't handle it, they should go fuck themselves.
He really shouldn't be allowed to have social media with the amount of complaining he's doing.
He's out of his fucking tree. Like,
you don't like that your 5060 Ti won't play the game at a stable 60? Well, that sounds like a you problem. Yeah.
He's just a jerk. Like, I don't mean that as one of the most damning things I could say about a person. No, like, over-the-top funny insults or anything. He's just a jerk. That's what he is.
I don't know why he's so defensive about this, because I highly doubt that Randy Pitchford as a specific individual is responsible for the perhaps a little poorly optimized state of the code running Borderlands 4. Like, if it's not running amazingly because it's a little bit bloated in the code base, I don't think anyone's pointing at Randy and going, you personally are responsible for that.
Oh, I'm sure a lot of people are. No. He's the guy at the head of the company. He's the most, visible person. I'm sure he's getting shit about it. But he shouldn't care, because he's a fucking millionaire.
He should be able to, in his head, go, they're blaming me. That's not, it's not entirely my fault.
Right.
I can live with that. But he's like, no, I can't stand people thinking I'm the reason for a bad. Oh.
Yeah, talk about burning goodwill. He does this every time. And it is... Even Peter Molyneux learned better than this. Not all the way, but he learned more than this. And it's genuinely, at this point, just kind of sad to see. As for the game, it's fine. It's certainly more Borderlands. There's some quality of life changes here and there. It's kept me, engaged TM in its loop TM. Does all of that looty shooty shit that you want from it.
Does it feel less rammed full of memes and internet stuff from 6 years ago that they thought was funny 6 years ago but has aged very poorly by the time the games come out?
For the most part.
Because that 3 had a lot of that.
For the most part. There's a bit of it.
Okay.
But I think one of the things that they've really improved this time is they didn't bother trying to recapture Handsome Jack as a villain. This villain is the Timekeeper, and there's nothing funny about him. He is charismatic and has the occasional, I guess, one-liner, but he is not over the top. He is not... They're not trying to make the next... meme villain, the next Handsome Jack. He's just a megalomaniac who you want to take down because he's horrible. And I really like that. I like that there's very little about him that's imaginative. He stands out in a universe that is always so over the top. Having a villain who's just no nonsense actually really sticks out. And the smaller villains under him, the kind of his lieutenants or what have you that you've got to take down are all kind of similar. None of them... Well, I've seen 2 of the 3 main ones, and neither of them were funny. They are horrible. You know, one is a horrible, like, scientist doing horrible torture experiments. The other is out to commit genocide, and they're just vile people. Well, one of them is called vile, literally. They're just horrid, and I like that. One thing I don't like that's horrid is the fact that this game seems to think it invented grappling hooks.
Yeah.
Because they're pushing it like bad Wii games would push motion controls.
Oh.
It plays, whenever it's not doing the good shooty stuff, it is playing like a tech demo for a first-person grappling hook that has been done better in the 2000s, because it ain't fucking Bulletstorm. It ain't fucking that. It is not fast, responsive. There aren't parkour mechanics. Like, as someone who's been playing Dying Light 2 recently, it's so hard to have this game be so proud of its shitty little grappling hook that uses the melee button. So you've got to be the exact right distance and angle to be looking at a grapple point, which are just predetermined set grapple points, and they force you to use them by putting, it feels to me like they've put more invisible walls around so that you're forced to use it. So rather than open up the world, the grappling hook's made it smaller. It's nonsense. But the worst part of all is, for as much as this game is making you use it, there is not one imaginative thing they do with it. They are, in fact, suffering from a major dearth of not knowing what to do with a grappling hook. Aside from a smattering, a handful of points to get around the map, which, as I say, it only bottlenecks you by making sure you have to use that one route through a mountain or what have you. In combat, they give you some barrels you can whip towards yourself and throw. And then there are the fetch quest missions, which I even struggle to... It absolutely baffles me. I am gobsmacked at what they've done here. So there are an obscene number of missions in which you use the whip, the grappler, to whip an item, a quest item, into your hand, and then manually carry that. Even though this is a universe, and this is a game where it still happens, any item they don't want you to do that with, you can do the digistruction thing, where you disassemble anything and keep it in your backpack and reassemble it, except the ones they want you to carry. Because you'll keep dropping it. Because if you try and do anything while you're carrying it, if you try to climb up a ledge, if you try to climb up a ladder, if you try to use your vehicle, you will drop it on the floor, and you will have to use the grappling hook to whip it back into your hand. And that seems to be the only fucking reason they've done this, is to get the grappling hook over in a way that makes me hate the grappling hook and everything to do with it. And when they do these missions, some of them want you to walk for miles with it. Just miles with it. Running from point A to point B while you're desperately wishing you could just use your vehicle, but you can't because you'll drop the thing that they've decided purely arbitrarily that you cannot put in your bag along with items that are 10 times bigger and more complicated in universe. I can take a fucking, giant satellite guidance system for a rocket. I can take all the pieces for a missile 5 times bigger than me. But if I've got to pick up a melee weapon as part of a bounty quest, I have to hold it in my fucking hand. And if I do anything, I'll drop it, including using the grappling hook on grapple points.
Wow.
And maybe if it was once or twice. Like, there are some side quests that are kind of puzzles in that way. There are lots of jumping and climbing, and you've got to get a carryable item up to a top and manage throwing it and whipping it and getting up there. If it were just those, they'd probably be some of my least favourite missions in the game, but they'd be contained and would have context. But you can sometimes do 3 missions in a row if you do side quests as you come and get them, like as they come to you. You can end up doing like 2 or 3 in a row that are just pick up this item and then manually walk it to where you're going. Oh, and if you drop it and move too far away, of course it'll respawn. Fuck knows where. The sheer volume of it is beyond the pale. And I cannot emphasize enough how much it is. I'm genuinely considering making every screenshot in the review I do just a screenshot of a different mission where you're holding something, rather than any of the good action shots I got. Just because I think it'll help. It still won't convey the totality of it, but it might help convey how much there is. And I'm baffled that this game decided... that a game like this decided what players want is to have fetch quests but worse. That was their way of pushing a grappling hook. That was their way of making a new feature feel exciting and cool. Is what if we used it to make fetch quests worse? And there are so many areas of it where I'm like, God, if they'd have done any of the dozens of things that other games with grappling hooks let you do, this could be quite cool. But that's where the majority of their effort went. And every time it happens, I'm completely confused as to why they've done it. Because it makes no sense to me. Like, it makes no design sense how anyone could do it. And that many times and think what they're doing is good. I don't know how I don't know how that happens. How do you make fetch quests worse? Then make dozens of them and think, yep, people will like this. I don't fucking get it. Do not.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, when it's on, it's on. Like, it's solid stuff. There's some nice quality of life things. The weapon stuff they've done, like missile launchers and things, are now, like, you can put it in your grenade slot. I believe that's new in this one. It's been ages since I played Borderlands 3. The little hover pack, like, glide thing is neat. That's better used. And it's got a way more tolerable story and writing than the last one. So yeah, it's pretty damn good when it's good, and it's absolutely dragged down by their weird, whoever it was who thought, yeah, here's this grappling hook in a game that doesn't have parkour mechanics, and the games from the 7th gen used better. Let's make that the focus of half of our game. What the fuck?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound ideal.
No. I can't blame everything on Randy. But
if I can blame a thing on Randy, maybe I will.
If I were to look at someone at Gearbox who has a history of mandating that something be shoehorned in that doesn't gel with the game and actively takes away from its vibe, he does have that. He's got prior for that. But it does feel, certainly, if not him, someone with significant sway thought their grappling hook idea was brilliant, possibly had never played one of the dozens of games that have them, and said, push that, this is my idea, it's great, and I'm going to make them like it. And then had no ideas as to how to do that. Fucking hell.
Oh no.
Weird.
We got time for a couple of quick bits of news before we wrap this week.
I'll have to check with my lawyers, but I think so.
Okay. Well, there's not a huge amount to say on these stories, but it feels worth acknowledging that they haven't gone away yet. There's more updates with Valve and their handling of games with, quote, mature content. If your game has, quote, mature content, Valve will no longer allow that game to be in early access.
Wait, what?
Yeah, their early access policy has been updated to no longer accept games with mature themes.
Fucking hell, this shit.
This came to light because a company called Damn It Bird, who developed an adult game called Heavy Hearts, applied for Steam Early Access, but failed review, quote, because we're unable to support the early access model of development for a game with mature themes.
Jesus Christ. This is pathetic. Fucking, like, I'm exhausted now by this shit. Like, can we stop kowtowing to fascists? And that is what this is.
So part of this as well is, like, you know, this is one individual story we're talking about here. Previously, this was not a rule. Their game is like 65 to 70% done. They have a publisher, and the financial model and plan for this game involved putting it out in early access, which they now can't do, and have to fund the other 30% of the game without early access. Which is, you know, this is one story out of a bunch, but, like, this is the kind of things that get caused when a company like Valve just kowtows like this and doesn't announce it, really. Just waits for people to discover, oh, sorry, we changed the business, your game can't be monetized the way that you were counting on it being monetized.
Big YouTube move, that.
Yeah.
Just make these big, potentially ruinous changes and wait for it to hurt someone. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They want to make a fucking moral point of it. This is what fucking obscenity is. This is depravity.
The other one we got this week that's still dragging on is, you know how the Pokemon Company and Nintendo filed some patents in the US a while ago in order to try and sue Palworld's developers? And they patented such things as riding on the back of an animal while throwing specifically a sphere to release a creature, and like some of the catch mechanics and stuff like that.
Oh, don't tell me they're not going to be allowed to use a certain hex code for their fucking colour scheme.
Nintendo has been granted a new patent in the US.
Oh dear.
This time covering the gameplay mechanic of summoning a sub-character to allow it to fight for you.
What? Oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
No, that will literally have to be challenged somewhere. That can't be done.
They filed for this back in March of 2023, and it has been granted without objection.
Oh, God, why is America? What the fuck?
Yeah.
You can't do that. Did no one think of Ni no Kuni? Did no one think of that? No, they didn't. No one thinks of Ni no Kuni and how that's going to be affected. There are so many games where you summon a sub-character to fight for you.
So, to be clear, to be in breach of this patent, you would have to be, like, there is a list of 6 things you would have to do, and there's ways you can work around it. It's a lot of babble, so I'm going to try and summarize these points as succinctly as I can. It has to be precisely moving a character around in a virtual space, then causing a sub-character to appear in front of them based on pressing a button to send them out, an enemy character being placed at the same location as that sub-character, and automatically switching to a battle between the sub-characters. It's a lot of very specific babble. The people who understand legal stuff better than me are saying it would be very easy to work around this, but that's kind of beside the point.
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
Like, that's... I wouldn't even have doubted it. That in an industry where there are so many games that have sub-characters that fight for you in many different ways, there is literally no way they could retroactively patent something that far-reaching. However, it is still ridiculously far-reaching.
Yeah, I'm going to read a quote here from Don McGowan, the former chief legal officer at the Pokemon Company, who thinks this is kind of a shit move for the Pokemon Company to have tried to make. If you read his full quote, it is quite the slamming of his former employer. I wish Nintendo and Pokemon good luck when the first other developer just entirely ignores this patent. And if those companies sue that developer, the developer will likely just show decades of prior art. You can try and sue about this, Nintendo, but, like, they'll just point and go, for decades we've been summoning monsters in games. The fuck are you on about?
Yeah, this does not seem like a defensible patent.
Honestly, that might not matter. We talked about this last week as well, when I said that Nintendo love to make examples. They love heads on pikes, and chilling effects can be just as useful as...
Sure.
Actually strong-arming and enforcing something. So my guess would be it's to make smaller developers worried and hedge their bets.
I bet this will never come up as a problem with any large-scale publisher.
Oh, absolutely not.
But
certainly not a large one.
Anybody who would have the possibility to fight this and win it, because they have the resources to do so. But yeah, this is definitely going to be targeted at the PAL Worlds and any smaller organization that's trying to do something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Nintendo's bullshit of the day. I think that's the news for this week.
Well, I guess that's that then. Is there anything else?
Nah, I think not.
I thought Conrad was about to say something.
No, I don't think so.
No? Oh, okay.
No.
I thought you'd gotten cut off or something. Anyway, doesn't matter. Because we're not just going to cut you off of listening to podcasts, listeners. I was so desperate for a lead-in, and I'm so glad I got there in the end.
Yeah, I'm glad you're happy, because now I have to include all of that stuff I was going to cut.
Yeah. Laura, can you tell the listeners about your stuffs in that, please?
My stuff's in that.
Yeah.
Laura K. Buzz, find the stuff. Laura K. Buzz, find the stuff. I don't know what I've got going on at the moment. I'm doing a bunch of stuff behind the scenes that'll eventually surface. Next week, on the 25th of September, I think it is, look for my review of Ghost of Yotei. I've got an accessibility review for that going up next week. This week, there is a new episode of Control Alt Access, where we talk about... at length about the accessibility stuff going on and not going on in Hollow Knight Silksong, which I am persisting with playing, but I do have a lot of opinions about.
Oh, I fucking stopped, by the way. I'm done. Fuck that game.
Yeah.
I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to bring it up this week.
And I'm still very happy for anybody who is enjoying this. That's great. I'm glad for you. Do not tell me it's good game design. I'm glad you like it. Do not tell me.
I am having a great time with it. I am also very critical of a lot of design choices made in it.
Yep.
Check out me and Arevia having like 25 minutes of going, yeah, it's good, but will I ever finish it? And like, should they really have designed it this way? Look forward to that. What about you, Conrad? Where are you at on the internet?
Oh, you can find me at Conrad Zimmerman on Blue Sky, and you can hang out with me on Twitch at twitch.tv/thatconradzimmerman. I'm on Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. You can buy anti-capitalist propaganda and Jimquisition merchandise at mercenarycreative.com. And everything I do online gets supported through Patreon at patreon.com/fistshark. And you know who else has a Patreon? Stephanie Sterling.
It cannot be denied. It is patreon.com/Jimquisition, which supports this podcast and the web show, which is still on hiatus. Ideally, I would have been back by now, but the move is still ongoing. Like, it's just been... I don't want to get into it now, but it's been a whole fucking thing. But we will, I've been going 10 years without a break. I think I'm okay. And thank you, actually, everyone who has been really supportive about it, and people have just been really cool about me needing the time off finally. So that...
You say the time off, the time that has also still been spent
That
working.
I am still working, yes. And some of that work you can see in video games. Vampire Survivors, Date Everything, and Quantum Witch all have examples of my writing in them. And the upcoming book, Vampire Survivors: The Grimoire, will be out in the first half of next year. Other than that, my next wrestling appearance, it's still not been announced, one of them, so I'll just for now say 26th of October I will be in Manchester again for Pinfall Wrestling. Other than that, thank you all so much for listening and for your support as always, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Lovely.